and the subject, or between the master and the servant are not eternal. But although such relationships are temporary, when a person takes the position of a king, his duty is to rule the citizens and punish those who are disobedient to the laws. By punishing them, he teaches the citizens to obey the laws of the state. Again, you have said that punishing a person who is deaf and dumb is like chewing the chewed or grinding the pulp. That is to say, there is no benefit in it. However, if one is engaged in his own occupational duty as ordered by the Supreme Lord, his sinful activities are certainly diminished. Therefore, he is engaged in his occupational duty by force. He benefits because he can vanquish all his sinful activities in that way. Purport: this argument offered by Maharaj Raghugan is certainly very effective. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami says, Tasmat kenapi upayena mana Krishna nevasayet. Somehow or the other, one should engage in Krishna consciousness. Actually, every living being is an eternal servant of Krishna. But due to forgetfulness, a living entity engages himself as an eternal servant of Maya. As long as one is engaged in Maya's service, he cannot be happy. Our Krishna consciousness movement aims at engaging people in Lord Krishna's service. This will help them become freed from all contamination and sinful activity. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4:10. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. By becoming detached from material activities, we will be freed from fear and anger. By austerity, one becomes purified and eligible to return home back to Godhead. The duty of the king is to rule his citizens in such a way that they become Krishna conscious. This would be very beneficial for everyone. Unfortunately, the king or the president engages people in self gratification instead of the Lord's service. And such activities are certainly not beneficial for anyone. King Rahugana tried to engage Jadbharat in carrying the palanquin, which is a form of sense gratification for the king. However, if one is engaged as a palanquin carrier in the Lord's service, that is certainly beneficial. In this godless civilization, if a president engages people somehow or the other in devotional service or the awakening of Krishna consciousness, he renders the best service to the citizens. So herein Maharaj Rahugan is offering the argument that although the position of the king and the subject is temporary and can master and servant is temporary, can interchange any time. But till the time a person is on the position of a king, one has a certain duty to train, to inspire the citizens. In that sense, Prabhupada uses the term to drive the citizens, sometimes even though by force. That's the king's duty. And he said, I did my duty. Maharaj Jadabharat also had mentioned what is the benefit. There is no benefit in training or in punishing a deaf and dumb person. That means if one punishes a deaf and dumb person, no, such a person is committing no, a sin and is liable to a reactionary punishment in return. But there again, Maharaj Raghukun is mentioning that because you are doing it our duty or dharma, so sinful reactions is not. Now, Srila Prabhupada takes this thread into a beautiful direction. uh, into a beautiful direction. So, and Prabhupada is saying that Srila Prabhupada is taking it to a beautiful direction. See, the point or the directionality in which Maharaj Raghugun's argument is that I have been simply doing my duty. Now, this duty is coming from which source? What is the dictate? The dictate is Varnashrama. So Maharaj Raghugun is referring to the Varnashrama dictate that I am simply following my duty and this is what is dharma and therefore I should not get sinful reaction. And Prabhupada is saying, well said, well said. So Prabhupada is taking now this idea forward and then Prabhupada is saying, well said, because I know. So yes, Varnashrama is the duty of the mankind. Uh, uh, but in a more generic sense or in a more holistic sense, following now the dharma of the jiva is to serve God. That's the eternal dharma of the jiva. The eternal dharma of the jiva to serve God. So then Prabhupada is making this point, so that one who serves God, he is absolved, or he such a person who serves God is is washed off all the sinful reactions. Such a person will not incur any sin in the true sense of the word. So service of Maya, one simply keeps minting more and more sinful reactions for oneself. That is, engagement is Maya, more one fluffs, more one is acquiring sinful reactions like that. So you see, that's something like like one goes to a gold mine, one will get out gold, a lot of gold. Say now these scavengers, they go to this garbage dump, they fluff out garbage, they get a lot of garbage, and then refused, rejected stuff. One fluffs around in this material world, one will get more and more sin. This is the material world. That's all. It doesn't matter what directionality, what speed, what area, the fluffing it takes place. The fluffing in this in the trajectories of this, uh, the fluffing in the trajectories of this material world is simply going to give one more and more sin. So the situation can only be resolved when one connects to God. Then there is no more sin. Then there is no more bondage. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada is making the point uh, that uh, that therefore everyone should be engaged in the Lord's service instead of being engaged in self gratification. And that is how a king should take care that people should not be engaged. instant gratification. But people should be engaged in carrying the palanquin for the Lord's service. Also. Okay, let's read further. तन्मे भवान् नरदेवभिमानः मदेन तुच्छीकृतः सप्तमस्य कृशिष्टमैत्री दृशमर्थबन्धु यथा तरे सद् अवध्यानाम अमः. Whatever you have spoken appears to me to be contradictory. O best friend of the distressed, I have committed a great offense by insulting you. I was puffed up with false pride due to possessing the body of a king. For this I have certainly become an offender. Therefore, I pray that you kindly glance at me with your causeless mercy. If you so do, I shall be relieved from sinful reaction. So I pray that you kindly glance me at me with your causeless mercy. If you do so, I can be relieved from sinful activities brought about by insulting you. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said that by offending a Vaishnava, one finishes all his spiritual activities. By offending a Vaishnava is considered the mad elephant offense. Mad elephant can destroy an entire garden which has been developed with great labor. One may attain the topmost position of devotional service, but somehow or the other, if he offends a Vaishnava, the whole structure collapses. Unconsciously, King Rahugana offended Jadabharata, but due to his good sense, he asked to be excused. This is the process by which one can be relieved from a Vaishnava parad. Krishna is always very simple and by nature merciful. When one commits an offense at the feet of a Vaishnava, one must immediately apologize to such a personality so that his spiritual advancement may not be hampered. So Srila Prabhupada is writing that Maharaj Rahugan unconsciously offended Jadabharat, but because of his good sense, he is now asking for no, pardoning. Sorry. So we see this is the nature of a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava, an upright person, is one who immediately wants to rectify himself. Maharaj Raghugan he realized he did a big mistake. I mean, he did a mistake. Immediately he wants to rectify himself. Immediately he's seeking forgiveness. So this attitude can protect ourselves. Many times one may say that, okay, in devotee dealings are very sensitive. And anytime any devotee may get hurt or offended, what to do? No. Yes, the devotee dealings are sensitive. That very thing is true. And one may land up offending. But here Baba is saying that, okay, even if one has committed an offense, one should immediately seek an excuse. I mean, seek a forgiveness. Then one will not be. Uh, so one who immediately seeks forgiveness, such a person, such a person will not fall down. So, uh, so this goes to show that you see, Krishna's merciful nature for us is immense. Now, that you see, the Lord has kept the so much buffer in the process of bhakti. Here it is being said so Krishna's uh, merciful nature we can see. Mm. See, Krishna has made the concept of fall down a very difficult concept in that sense. Means uh, a very difficult concept. Because here the Lord is saying that even a person who has committed a mistake, who is a offender, can still be saved if he rectifies his action, seeks forgiveness. So look at the Lord's buffer. The Lord's algorithm is not saying that, okay, if you even think of doing a wrong activity, you'll be slaughtered. No. What to say of doing it? The Lord is saying, the Lord's criteria is even if you have done it, still if you come to your senses and want to live a responsible life, one will be forgiven. This is this is amazing. Is it not? The offense is committed. Still the Lord is saying, okay, if you still behave yourself, I can still take it off. This is Krishna's, way of dealing. Is it? Is it not so beautiful and wonderful? Krishna's way of dealing. Amazing it is. Okay, let's read further then. Text 25. न विक्रिया विश्वसुहृत् सह सकहस्य संयेनाविताभिमते स्तवापि महद्विमानात् स्वकृतद्विमर्दिन् नाङ्क्ष्याति आदुरादपि शूलपानि. Oh my dear lad, yet a friend, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is a friend of all the living entities. You are therefore equal to everyone, and you are free from the bodily conception. Although I have committed an offense by insulting you, I know that there is no loss and gain for you due to my insult. You are fixed in your determination, but I have committed an offense. Although I have committed an offense by insulting you, I know that there is no loss or gain for you due to my insult. You are fixed in your determination, but I have committed an offense. Because of this, even though I may be as strong as Lord Shiva, I shall be vanquished without delay due to my offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Purport. Maharaj Rahugan was very intelligent and conscious of the inauspicious effects arising from insulting a Vaishnava. He was therefore very anxious to be excused by Jadabharat. Following in the footsteps of Maharaj Rahugan, everyone should be very cautious not to commit an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Maharaj Rahugan was very intelligent and conscious of the inauspicious effects arising from insulting a Vaishnava. He was therefore very anxious to be excused by Jadabharat. Following in the footsteps of Maharaj Rahugan, everyone should be very cautious to commit an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur in Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya 13 writes, Sulapani samya yadi bhakta ninda kare, Bhagavat pramana tathapi shigra mare. Tena Vaishnavere ninde sarvagna hai, se jane radha pata sarva shastra koi. Even if one is as strong as Lord Shiva, who carries a trident in his hand, se jane radha pata sarva shastra koi. So even if one is as strong as Lord Shiva, who carries a trident in his hand, will nonetheless fall down from his spiritual position if he tries to insult a Vaishnava. That is the verdict of all the Vedic scriptures. One who blasphemes a Vaishnava cannot be protected by anyone. Even if a person is as strong as Lord Shiva, if he blasphemes a Vaishnava, he is sure to be destroyed. This is the verdict of the Shastra. If one does not care for the verdict of the Shastra and dares to blaspheme a Vaishnava, he suffers life after life because of this. Doesn't it feel like a talk about enlightens the discussion between Jadabharat and Narada Muni. Hmm. But Maharaj Rahugun was very intelligent and conscious of the inauspicious effects arising from insulting a Vaishnava. He was therefore very anxious to be excused by Jadabharat. Hmm. So Prabhupada is saying, following in the footsteps of Maharaja Rahugun, everyone should be very cautious not to commit an offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur in the Chaitanya Bhagavat Madhya says, Sulapani Samayadi. Yeah, we read the purport. So this goes to show here that one cannot take Vaishnava association cheaply. Vaishnava association is a great, great blessing. A rare, great blessing actually to be able to stay and be with the Vaishnavas. So Krishna is more accessible through the assembly of the Vaishnavas. Or rather, you can say Krishna is only accessible through the assembly of the Vaishnavas. There is no direct access which the Lord is giving. So uh, therefore, one should, yeah. So what to say of offending? Uh, what to say of offending? One should see Vaishnavas rather with great respect. So whenever we go anywhere, immediately the attention gets drawn to what is not happening there, what is not going good, nor what not happening good. But we have to stop our senses and mind into loitering on zones of what is not happening. Other one has to make our mind and senses loiter around in what is happening good. That is the point, because otherwise we stand a great risk to offend and to be critical. No? So therefore, uh, we need to train our consciousness we need to train our consciousness on the uh, we need to train our consciousness to seeing and relating with what is happening properly. So what is happening properly? So rather than being obsessed about what is not happening properly. So here actually the Maharaj Hare Krishna, is it audible?
Okay.
So, okay. Yeah, seems that voice is fine. Yes, bro, audible. Okay.
हरे कृष्णा सेवा स्वरूप प्रभु
Hare Krishna, Hare Prabhu.
ये शैतान प्रभु ने लिखा है बाकी सबसे हरे कृष्णा हो गई मेरे
So,
Hare Krishna Mataji.
should,
हरे कृष्णा
हरे कृष्णा माता
मैं
जी, हरे कृष्ण प्रभु।
दूसरी माता ने इसको सुना कर देता था, हरे कृष्णा बोले सुना।
So one should train one's consciousness to one should train one's consciousness to see the good actually. Otherwise, we don't have the respect for vision. This verse is very powerful. स्थूलपानी समय यदि भक्त निंदा करे भागवत प्रमाण तथापि शीघ्र मरे. Very beautiful verse. That means even a person as powerful as Lord Shiva offends a Vaishnava, he will fall down sure. Tatapi Shigra Mare. The entire Bhagavad stands testimony to the point that such a person, and that is why if any offense has happened, immediately one should be anxious to seek forgiveness or to be excused, because this Vaishnava Aparadh is so one should not take Vaishnava association cheaply. One should not take Vaishnavas. For that, we have to train ourselves. By default, the mindset goes into what is not happening properly. But we have to, by default, the mindset goes into what is not happening properly. But we have to actually see and relate to the positive side of it. Relate to the positive side of it. Otherwise, one stands a great risk for Vaishnava Prad. Vaishnava Prad, even if somebody is Sulapani, Samayati, then in that Bhagavad Praman, entire Bhagavatam is testimony. Such a person very soon die. So, and that will be very unfortunate. So, therefore, Maharaj Raghuvan is extremely anxious to be excused by Yadava. Extremely anxious to be excused. So that is why we can see. You see, the point is the culture and tradition are so important. See, the culture is Krishna conscious, the tradition is Sattvaguni. Very quickly a person can get awakened. Here you see Maharaj Raghuvan, he was affected by false pride of being a king. And therefore he spoke harsh words, sarcastic words. But as soon as he got a signal, little bit signal, immediately he came back to his senses. Immediately he realized, oh, I'm committing a big mistake, Vaishnava Aparadh, full danger sign. So he controlled himself. Immediately he stepped back. Immediately he seeked forgiveness. So this is the point. Immediately he started seeking forgiveness. That please forgive me. He was immediately seeking forgiveness. This is so interesting, and I mean so immediate. So therefore, that backup is very essential. So culture and tradition go a very long way, and that is why we also learn that Krishna consciousness should be a continuous practice. That continuous practice should always be on. Then what will happen is, even though one is suppose one has made a mistake by mistake, immediately one can realize that even with a small signal, and immediately one can rectify it. Otherwise, material algorithms start making a person more and more stubborn, so much so that the person realizes in due course of time that he's heading towards an empty life full with oceanic suffering. Still, a person doesn't take it. Like Ravana knew that he will be vanquished. He was able to see enough proofs. Still, he was not stepping back. That's what false ego does. So, too much association with material energy, one becomes stubborn. So then what will happen, even though one may realize that this is the right thing to do, still one may not be able to act on it. And that is why one practices Krishna consciousness activities regularly, then little bit one realizes what is right, what is wrong. Immediately one can rectify. One is ready to mold actually. Its strength to mold and change and rectify comes from the comes from Krishna consciousness. And that is why it is said that none of these spiritual activities we should leave ever, or we should not stop doing. So one should keep doing DT Seva lifelong. Because we don't do, heart will become stubborn. One should keep doing book distribution forever. Even if one becomes a temple president, and even one becomes a GPC, still, why you don't do, heart will become stubborn. Like in our KP culture and cooking, one should continue cooking also. Throughout life, we don't do, heart will become. That is the point. Krishna conscious practices, they create a back. So when that backup is there, very quickly one can catch signal and rectify oneself. So Raghugan had such a tradition, Raghugan Maharaj, and therefore Raghugan Maharaj immediately realized his folly and rectified his folly. Let's read further. This is a discussion between Maharaj Jada Bharat and Maharaj Raghugan. Now we go to chapter 11. Jada Bharat instructs King Raghugan. Next one. Brahmanuvacha Akovida Kovida Vada Vada Vadasi Vada Vadasi Athunati Vidam Vari Na Surayo Divyavaharanenam Tva Vamarshena Saha Manasi. The Brahman Jadabharat said, my dear king, although you are not at all experienced, you are trying to speak like a very experienced man. Consequently, you cannot be considered an experienced person. An experienced person does not speak the way you are speaking about the relationship between master and servant, or about material pains and pleasures. These are simply external activities. Any advanced experienced man considering the absolute truth does not talk in this way. Okay, let's see the purport. Purport. Oh, Krishna similarly chastised Arjuna. So Krishna is also telling, Asosayanan vasochastam pagya vadam sabhasate. So Lord Krishna is also telling, oh, while speaking learned words, you are lamenting for what is not worthy of grief. You are lamenting for what is not worthy of grief. Similarly, among people in general, 99.9% people try to talk like experienced advisors, but they are actually devoid of spiritual knowledge and are therefore like inexperienced children speaking nonsensically. Consequently, their words cannot be given any importance. So one has to learn from Krishna or his devotee. If one speaks on the basis of this experience, that is on the basis of spiritual knowledge, and one's words are valuable. At the present moment, the entire world is full of foolish people. Bhagavad Gita describes these people as moodas, foolish people. They are trying to rule the human society, but because they are devoid of spiritual knowledge, the entire world is in a chaotic condition. To be released from these miserable conditions, one has to become Krishna conscious and take lessons from an exalted personality like Jadavara, Lord Krishna, and Kapil Dev. That is the only way to solve all the problems of material. So we saw Maharaj Rahugun was trying to justify. So we saw the point, or we saw the. Uh, so he was trying to justify his position in action, and because he was trying to justify, he's getting chastisement. Yeah. See, this is that first point. We read it last time. My dear sir, you have said that. This is Maharaj Rahugun speaking. Designations like the bodily fatness and thinness are not characteristics of the soul. That is incorrect. Because designations like pain and pleasure are certainly felt by the soul. You may put a pot of milk and rice within fire, and milk and rice are automatically heated one after another. Similarly, due to body pains and pleasure, the senses, the mind, and the soul, all of them are affected. The soul cannot be completely detached from this conditioning. So this is the talk, and then Maharaj Rahugun is taking shelter of Jada Bharat, and Jada Bharat is starting with the same note as Lord Krishna started. Asosnyanan vasochistva. Ah, so Maharaj Jada Bharat is starting at that same note. An experienced person does not talk like you. So the two arguments of Maharaj Rahuguna are, the one is saying that in a pot, the fire and rice both are food. Similarly, anything happens to the body, pain, pleasure, it affects everyone, the mind, the body, and the soul. And the second point he's telling is master servant, all the temporary, but master has to teach a lesson to the servant to upkeep the servant. So this is the intelligent, no, super intelligent arguments which Maharaj Raghugun is making, and Jada Bharat's reaction is quite interesting to see. So Maharaj Jada Bharat is chastising him, saying, uh, these words seem to, no, you may pose yourself as being very learned and by posing these words in this hard process, but it is very foolish. So what Maharaj Jada Bharat is saying, or what Maharaj Raghugun is saying, is true only for from a material point of view, only for from a conditioned point of view. So he's saying that whatever happened to the body, soul gets affected. Yeah, that is very true. Only for a non-devotee conditioned soul, not for a devotee. Bhakti or devotional service teaches us to be aloof from whatever ups and downs are happening in day-to-day life or in our world situations or life situations. To be aloof from that. So that is what that is what Pastor Bhakti is saying. So therefore, the argument that the soul is going to be affected just like in a pot, no, rice and milk are going to be cooked together. So that's only true for a conditioned soul. And the second argument about duty, now we understand that that type of thought process, in one sense, it's a responsible thought process that okay, it is my duty. Ah, so the second argument, as what we are seeing, now we understand that the second argument is incomplete because uh, so he was talking about duty, but more important than material duty is spiritual duty. So in Varnashrama, there are two planes: the spiritual connection and the material duties. The spiritual connection is much more important than the material duty, and that is why both the arguments of uh, may appear to be not quite interesting and lucrative, but it is empty actually. Both the arguments are incomplete and empty. So because it is only we are not seeing things from a material perspective. So therefore both the arguments are incomplete and empty. Okay, that should be further. तथैव राजन् उरु गर्हमेध पितान विजृम्भितेषु न वेदवादेषु हि तत्त्ववाद प्रायेण शुद्धो न च कस्ति साधु. My dear king talks of the relationship between the master and the servant, the king and the subject, and so forth, or simply talks about material activities. People interested in material activities which are expounded in the Vedas are intent in performing material sacrifice and placing their faith in their material activities. For such people, spiritual advancement is definitely not manifest. Prayena Shuddho Natikasti Sadhu. Hmm. So here it is said that the you see the talk about material activities is very draining. training and straining and paining. And therefore, the subject matter of the talk has to be elevated to the spiritual. This is what Prabhupada is pointing out here. That the subject matter of the talk has to be spiritualized. Because material talks is going to be draining and paining. The spiritual content has to be. Okay, let's read. Yeah, I think we did not read the purport. We'll read the purport. Yeah. In this verse, two words are significant: Vedavada and Tattvavada. According to Bhagavad Gita, those who are simply attached to the Vedas and who do not understand the purpose of the Vedas or the Vedanta Sutra are called Vedavadarataha. They are simply attached to following, but they don't understand the purpose of the Veda. Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipashchita Vedavadarataha नान्यतस्थितिवादिनः कर्मात्मनः स्वर्गपरा जन्मकर्म फलप्रदा क्रियाविशेषबहुलां भोगैश्वर्यगतिं प्रति. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to the heavenly planets, result in good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say there is nothing more than this. The Vedavad, the followers of the Vedas, are genuinely inclined towards karma kand, the performance of sacrifice according to the Vedic India. They are thereby promoted to the higher planetary systems. They generally practice the Chaturmasya system. Akshayam hi vai Chaturmasya yajnah kritim bhavan. One who performs the Chaturmasya yajna becomes pious. By being pious, one may be promoted to the higher planetary systems. Urdhvam gachanti sattvastaha. Some of the followers of the Vedas are attached to karma kand, the fruitive activities of the Vedas, in order to be promoted to higher standard. Others argue that this is not the purpose of the Veda. Tad yathaive karmajitah lokashiyan evam evam putre punya jitah lokashayite. See, just by following Chaturmasya, one can be promoted to heavenly planetary system. In this world, someone may become very highly elevated by taking birth in an aristocratic family. By being well educated, beautiful, or very rich, these are gifts for pious activities enacted in the past life. However, these will be finished when the stock of pious activity is finished. If we become attached to the pious activity, we may get these various worldly facilities in the next life and may take birth in the heavenly planets. but all this will eventually be finished. Srine Punyam Bhaktya Lokam Vishanti. When the stock of pious activity is finished, one again has come to this Bhaktya Loka. According to the Vedic injunction, the performance of pious activity is not really the objective of objective of the Vedas is not performance of pious activity. The objective of Bhagavad Gita is Vedas is where hame Vedya. The objective of the Vedas is to understand Krishna, the personality of God. Those who are Vedavadis are not actually advanced in knowledge, and those who are followers of Jnana Kanda, Brahman understanding are also not perfect. However, when one comes to the platform of Upasana and accepts the worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he becomes perfect. Aradhanam sarvesham madhyate antaratmanah. But such, yeah, so the worship of the demigod. So here it is being said that the performance of sacrifice and worship of the demigod is considered inferior because the worshippers do not know the ultimate goal of Vishnu. When one comes to the platform of Vishnu Aradhana or Bhakti Yoga, but such worship is inferior because the worshippers do not know that the ultimate goal is Vishnu. When one comes to this platform, Vishnu Aradhana or Bhakti Yoga, one has attained the perfection of life. Otherwise, as indicated in Bhagavad Gita, one is not a Tattvavadi but a Vedavadi, blind follower of the Vedic injunction. A Vedavadi cannot be verified from material contact. So even after coming to the platform of understanding with Tattva, one must worship Bhagavan. Lord Vishnu in his expansions and the one or one is uh, Ohunam Janmanamanti Gyanavan Mam Tapasya. After many births, one is actually knowledge surrenders unto me. The conclusion is that unintelligent man with the poor fund of knowledge cannot understand Bhagavan Paramatma. But after studying the Vedas and attaining after many births, one who is actually knowledge surrendered. The conclusion is that unintelligent man, poor fund, cannot understand Bhagavan. Hmm. Even after coming to the platform of understanding Tattva, one must worship Bhagavan Vishnu and his expansion. Or one is not yet perfect. Bahunam Janmanamanti Gyanavan Mam Tapasya. After many births, one who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto Krishna. The conclusion is that unintelligent man with poor knowledge cannot understand. And after studying the Vedas and understanding the supreme of the absolute truth, the supreme personality of God, one is supposed to be on the platform of perfect knowledge. So men of small knowledge are attracted to the fiery words of the Vedas. Ah, okay, exactly. तस्य तत्त्वा गृह्णाय साक्षात् परीयसीरपि वाच समासन् स्वप्ने नित्य गृहमेदि सौख्यम् न यस्य हेया अनुमितं स्वयं स्यात्. A dream becomes automatically known to a person as false and immaterial. And similarly, one eventually realizes that material happiness in this life or the next, on this planet or a higher planet, is insignificant. When one realizes this, the Vedas, also an excellent source, are inefficient to bring about purpose. In Bhagavad Gita 2:45, Krishna advised Arjuna to become transcendental to material activity, impelled by the three modes of material nature. Traigunya Vishaya Veda Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. The purpose of Vedic study is to transcend the activities of the three modes of material nature. Of course, in the material world, the mode of goodness is accepted as the best, and one can be promoted to the higher planetary system by being on the Sattvagun platform. However, that is not perfection. One must come to the conclusion that even Sattva-guna platform is not good. One may dream that has become king with good family, wife, and children, but immediately at the end of the dream, he comes to the conclusion that it was false. Similarly, all kinds of material happiness are undesirable by a person who wants spiritual salvation. If a person does not come to the conclusion that he has nothing to do with any kind of material happiness, he cannot come to the platform of understanding the absolute truth of Sattva Gyana. Karmis, Jnanis, and Yogis are, after some material elevation, the karmis work hard day and night for some bodily comfort. The Jnanis simply speculate on how to get out of the entanglement of karma and merge into the Brahman effulgence. The yogis are very much addicted to the acquisition of
Yes, so for a devotee, consequently, the results of karma, jnana, yoga become equally become very insignificant. Therefore, only the devotee is on the platform of Tattva Jnana, not the others. Of course, the Jnani's position is better than a karmi, but that position is also insufficient. The Jnani must actually have become liberated. And after liberation, he may be situated in devotional service. Mad bhaktim labhate param. Mm. Yeah. So we are learning here insufficient to bring it up. That. uh, mm. So here Srila Prabhupada is having a very beautiful concept. Now, when Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna to transcend Nistraya Gunya Bhava, so Prabhupada is saying the purpose of Vedic study is to transcend the activities of the three modes of material. So here it is being explained that even though a person may be pious in the mode of goodness, he is still cut. So one can go out of the shackles of this bondage only by. So here it is seeing that okay, this material world is filled with contamination. No matter whatever state one is in, one will get infection which will contaminate them. So if one is in the mode of goodness, that mode of goodness will not stay for long. It will drag down the mode of passion, ignorance. Ah, so one has to raise one's mode. So Prabhupada is saying here, okay, don't just keep sticking to Satvaguna. That is also not good. So, uh, see, dream means something temporary. So even what is happening in our day-to-day life, because it is temporary, is nothing better than a dream. Because it's all temporary. So therefore, one has to be very, very careful to transcend this platform of the modes and not just remain on Sattva. So we are not just attached to no, in one sense, the activities per se. We are actually attached to following the instructions of the spiritual path. So Krishna consciousness can give us sattvic lifestyle, but we are not just attached to the sattvic lifestyle. We are attached to Krishna. And anything which is coming from Krishna. Uh, so understanding this, one has to give up pursuits of material happiness, chasing behind the material desire. Understanding that this is not going to help. See, here there is a beautiful point given. See, karmis work hard day and night for bodily comfort. Jnani speculate how to get out of the entanglement of karma and merge into Brahman. Yogis are addicted to the acquisition of material perfection and magical power. So all of them are trying to be perfect. Because all of them are invested or infected with mundane qualities, infected with false ego. So everyone is trying to materially perfect, everyone trying to be must. But what a devotee does, an intelligent devotee, very easily comes to the platform nirguna. Consequently, for the devotee, the results of karma, jnana, and yoga, they do become very insignificant. So therefore, only the devotee who is on the tattva jnana, not the others. Of course, the jnani's position is better than a karmi, but that position is also insufficient. So karmi, jnani, yogi, all are selfish motivated. We can very clearly see that. The only person who is not selfish motivated is a devotee. So therefore, it is only a devotee, uh, who is depending on Krishna. Nobody else depends on Krishna. Everyone else just wants to collect accolades to show their prowess, and then to keep on increasing their prowess or whatever. So it is only a devotees, no? Because the devotees say because uh, the devotee is depending on Krishna. That is the point. So the devotee doesn't want to make his or her resume. Such a devotee only represents Krishna. So devotional service is the process of Sharanagati, taking shelter, and the process of collecting mercy. Okay, let's further. यावन्मनोराजसा पुरुषस्य सत्त्वेन हि तामसा वान् चेतुभिरकुतिभिरातनोति निरङ्कुशां कुशलं चेततारम्. As long as the mind of the living entity is contaminated by the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, his mind is like exactly like an uncontrolled wild. It simply expands its jurisdiction of pious and impious activities by using the senses. The result is that the living entity remains in the material world to enjoy and suffer the pains and pleasures due to the material activity. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that the material pious and impious activities are both opposed to the principles of devotional. Devotional service means mukti, that is freedom from material entanglement. But pious and impious activities result in entanglement mentioned in the entanglement within the. If the mind is captivated by the pious and impious activities mentioned in the Veda, one will remain eternally in darkness. One cannot change the consciousness from ignorance to passion or from passion to business does not really solve the problem. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 4:26, Sagunan Samatityaitan Brahmabhuyaya Kalpate. One must come to the transcendental platform, otherwise life's mission is never. So the problem with pious and impious activities is the purification quota in pious on the track of pious and impious activities is very long, and therefore it becomes difficult to just continuing the pious and pious. Pious impious will not lead one to transcendence because pious impious, one will degrade in a slow fashion. That's even the most pious person, one is still retarding, and so therefore it is said one must come to the transcendental. Otherwise, life's mission is never. Okay, so I think we'll stop here for today. Okay, so devotees want to quickly tell about the follow-up, the preaching and the follow-up groups the MMCs are going.